All right, hey y'all. I wanted to make a video about this new technique for phalloplasty that I just heard about. Um, 4 years ago, I was beginning the process of investigating delayed abdominal through Dr. Citrullo in Boston at Mass General. Turned out that he was experimenting on people, he messed up a lot of people, and then he pieced the fuck out and went to California and left like all these guys having had like 6 or 7 surgeries, not even close to being finished. Like, some of them have had to like literally start over, like completely cut off what was created and start over with a different technique because he fucked it up so bad. And so I'm very glad I got away from that. I started to see stuff online about him towards the end of 21, early 22, and just felt really grateful that everything got delayed by COVID and I didn't jump into that process because it was not good. But there is another surgeon, also in Boston, Dr. Devin O'Brien Kuhn, who has been formulating a new kind of abdominal phalloplasty, or just a new kind of phalloplasty that doesn't use the typical arm or leg grafts. There's no big giant skin grafts and big giant scars. He takes the graft from the abdomen and then closes that scar. Not quite the same as the traditional abdominal phalloplasty, which is like a pedicled phalloplasty where there's no free graft. It's like they create the phallus and roll it down so it's still attached. That's how it maintains supply. So this is like a newer technique. It's called pipe for short. I printed out the picture that they put in the group. I joined. So this guy, I forgot to start with this. I recently reconnected with this trans guy I knew years ago. I don't even remember how we met. It might have been in an old surgery group. But he just was reaching out and saying like, hey, how are you doing? And I was like, I'm good. What's up? Like, how are you? He's like, oh, I'm home recovering from surgery. I'm like, oh, what surgery? And he's having stage 2 phalloplasty through Dr. O'Brien Kuhn. And he's like, oh, like he's doing a new kind of abdominal. And I was like, oh, really? Like, does he do urethral lengthening? And he's like, I believe so. He's like, you should join this group on Facebook. It's called Built in Brigham, or Built by Brigham, because Dr. O'Brien Kuhn practices at Brigham Young Women's Hospital, whatever it's called, there in Boston. And they have a big transgender health program. And so he's started this new technique called pipe. So phi innervated periumbilical eversion phalloplasty. It says a pipe phalloplasty uses the epigastric artery and vein to create a penis using the skin at the level of the belly button as a donor site. The pipe procedure uses an axial blood supply, meaning there is a large named artery running through the phallus. This provides suitable blood supply for our urethra and prosthetic. So they like create a donor flap on the abdomen, and then you just end up with a scar like that where they reclose it. And this is the staging basically. So the first stage, you just have the phallus created and your natal stuff's intact. Second stage, they create the urethra and everything. Third stage is implants and like creation of the glands and everything. So it says the donor site flap is prepped in a 1 to 2 hour outpatient procedure. The skin edges are raised at a very thin level so the phallus can be debulked, which is the big problem with the ALT thigh phalloplasty, is that it is a very like thick and you have to have many debulking surgeries, which also can happen with the more traditional abdominal as well. So the phallus can be debulked prior to being tubed. The rectus abdominis muscle must be entered to recruit the blood vessels supplying the overlying skin. In order to ensure suitable blood supply, the flap is allowed to heal for 1 to 2 weeks. This causes the network of blood vessels in the area to grow and become more plentiful. A sheet of Integra or silicone is placed on the raised edges of the prepared donor flap, and a sheet of silicone is placed on the exposed subcutaneous tissue. So you basically have like a semi-open wound healing so that the flap is like ready to be separated. And then during stage 1, the phallus is created and moved to the proper location in the genital region. The pipe procedure allows for the donor site to be closed in a linear scar, like I was just showing you the picture. This avoids a large defect and contour change of an RFF. So RFF is like your whole arm is like a huge scar, and it's more like indented because they've taken a piece and put something back on, and then your leg has a huge scar, and I just was never interested in that. After stage 1, the phallus has been created, but the urethra has not yet been lengthened. All native anatomy remains the same. During stage 2, the urethra can be lengthened by reopening the tubularized phallus and placing a split thickness skin graft. A scrotoplasty, clitoral burring, and vaginectomy are also performed, all in stage 2. And then after 3 to 4 months of healing, the phallus is retubulized in an outpatient procedure. During this stage, a glandsplasty can also be performed, which is creating the head of the penis. And then during stage 3, the urology partners can place an inflatable or malleable penile prosthetic in an outpatient procedure. And we also have testicular implants placed at this stage. So 3 stages, which is a pretty common for most phalloplasties. There's the creation of the phallus, then there's the like lengthening of the urethra, and then there's the implant stage. So yeah, very interested. I mean, all I've read is this about it, of course, and he's done a few procedures so far from what I know, and there's some people in the group who are going through it. It's funny, I was just kind of scrolling through the group last night, and I recognized so many names from the group I was in for Dr. Citrullo. So there's a lot of guys who are like either having to restart and go through Dr. O'Brien Kuhn because we're all in this area, or interested in the same surgery and that's like never followed through with Citrullo. So it's really, I recognize like a good like 10 to 15 names of people who I recognize from being in that group 4 years ago and like going through the process with Citrullo. I mean, I went through all the consultations. I saw him twice. I had the psych eval. I met with the urologist. I met with the gynecologist. Like I went through the whole process there, and then like felt the red flags, and it was like, I'm not following through. And obviously now I'm trying to get pregnant first. So like this is a very much like a future plan. Like once I've had a child, if I get pregnant and I follow through that journey, this is my next journey. Like I've always known I want to return to this journey. I just wanted to kind of take a sidebar to try and have a child of my own before I get rid of all the equipment that is required. So I feel really excited knowing this exists because I was kind of like just settling on metoidioplasty. I was like, I know I want to have a surgery eventually. Like I want to feel more complete. And so it's exciting to know this is out there. And like, I wouldn't be doing this for probably like 4 or 5 years, you know, like, so by then he'll have really like fine-tuned the process. So that's really exciting for me too. But yeah, anyway, just want to make a video, throw that up there, and yeah, hope you guys are having a good week, and I'll talk to you next time.